Hey y'all, I want to say welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about our winter to spring transition and how to fish these creeks. Now, we talked about stealth, and part of stealth has to do with the approach and control positioning of the boats. As you can see here, got an outgoing tide and the water's actually flowing towards me. I got the wind at my back. See, I've got a choke point between an oyster bar and the point of the island there. And these fish are stacked up in these deeper holes. Now in an oyster creeks, the water tends to get a lot deeper in these choke points and cuts are usually much narrower, and you get a lot more high water flow through there, so they wash out a bit more and a bit deeper. But they can be very productive, especially just on the back sides of these oyster bars. With all the water flowing out, and it funnels down into that little choke point there, and then starts spreading back out on the other side, and they're going to hang just out of the main current, just off to the side a little bit, and they're just going to be sitting there waiting on their next meal to come by. As you can see, I got a couple of nice trout out of this first little hole I fished here. These trout, they do tend to stack up on the down current side of these oyster bars. If the tide was flowing the other direction, I would expect to find them right on the other side where the current starts spreading out. But as you can see, I did manage a couple of really nice trout coming out of here. The winds and the tides on this particular morning made it fairly easy to get a really good approach. I had the winds almost at my back going into the tide, allowed me to cast up current and work the bait back with the current. It's always best to be able to do that when you can. If you can't, sometimes what I'll have to do is I'll stay really off to a side of it and maybe make a cast at 45-degree angles and work it back across the current, letting the current sweep it, and you get a more effective presentation that way. If the bait is swimming basically the same way the fish are pointed, you're not going to get nearly as many strikes as you would as if the bait was coming to them, because these fish will be facing into the current and they will expect their food to come at them. You can see I've got a still shot here. You can see where the choke point there, a land-based point, and the oyster bar. And this is the satellite view. Now, these satellite views are very useful tools. You should use them every chance you possibly get. You got a deep cut where these oyster bars tend to be. You get really deep cuts and deeper pockets surrounding the cut. You see the dark spots, really deep holes. Now, on this day, this is a different day, different tide situation, different winds. Incoming tide, winds coming from still almost at my back, which is helpful. And I'm working my way into this creek. Now, these marsh creeks where you don't have the oyster bars tend to be broader, a little shallower, and they're not going to have as much faster moving water. Of course, they still have the moving water, but it's not going to be nearly as fast as it is coming through the cuts in between the oyster bars. So it's easy to work your way up through there. Now, as I said, I was incoming tide on this ride here, so I'm working off to the sides and working my bait back out towards me, allowing it to sweep along with the current. So a slower retrieve with just a little popping, and allow the current to actually carry your bait some, will help a lot in being able to target these fish. Now, in these types of creeks, the fish are going to be a little more spread out. They're not going to be concentrated so much in single individual little pockets, mostly because they don't have those larger, deeper pockets. So to effectively fish these creeks, you want to work them very thoroughly. You want to work them all the way in, work them all the way back out when you're coming back out, and you're going to want to work all the little possible flows where the water could be flowing in or out, little drains, little flood plains where there's like little channels. And you can see here on the satellite view, all those little X's are key points to make sure that you present your bait to. Every little point, every little cut, every little change that you see in the surface of the water, because if there's a change in the surface of the water, it's because there's some kind of structure under there that's causing that change. And these fish relate to this structure. Now, as the tide rises and falls, they're also going to move with it. They may be in one spot for now, and 10 minutes later, they're 100 yards down the creek. So the water level is definitely going to have an impact on it. And you're definitely going to want to work your way all the way in and all the way out. This particular one right here, I just happened to pick up on the way back out of that creek. Wasn't a really big one, but they're still fun to catch. So I hope you found this video helpful and useful, and if you like it, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So tight lines, y'all, and thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a great day.